Go. And I can just hear the Hajime as the stream starts off to a whimper. Hi, my name is Bruce. Hi, everyone. I'm Bruce, and my friend Kai is with me tonight. How are you tonight, Kai?
I'm doing pretty good, honestly.
Good. It was a shit show of a day,
I bet.
and I wasn't supposed to lose my game day, but I lost my game day, and it's frustrating, but whatever. I got to this job site today, and they have their traps outside, and I started going through them, and like it's just water. Like I called my boss, like, what did you send me out here for? This doesn't look right. Have you talked to anybody there yet? No, they just opened up, and there's a line going out the door. And here I am on the back end with a downwind to the front of the store with all this wonderful smell wafting over these people hungry for barbecue. So I'm sure we impinged upon their happiness along with the other 4 barbecue shops in the area. And the boss came out after he knocked down a fire, basically, and he comes out. He's like, "This isn't really where we're having the problem. Show me where we're having the problem." So we go and look on the interior where there's yet another trap. And I surmise that there's a pipe from one trap to this other trap, and that pipe is completely clogged. And when I started working on it, it was at 10 o'clock. And when I finished, it was 1 on like a 4,000 gallon void. And like, mind you, it was probably only 3,500, but he opened up the other barbecue grease pits to funnel into the prime trap. And I'm just thinking, like, how many of my guys have been here and they didn't know about this interior trap? They pull the outside trap. We're like, okay, we're good. See ya. How many times? How many times that happened?
Enough?
Mm-hmm. So that was today when I was wanting to not be there. And that kind of sucked. Shit happens, though.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're doing well.
In a way, yeah, I can say I have been. Been writing a lot, it seems.
I've noticed. I've noticed. Your own campaigns that you do.
Yep.
You primarily you'll put them together and you'll ship yourself to a local college, and you run with potentially a new group of people every semester, right?
Every 2 semesters on average. So 1 school year.
Okay. Does the turnover kick your ass, or does that invigorate you more?
Actually, it's kind of fun. It doesn't kick my ass because there's always enough carryover from the previous school year to make the integration to the next person. So the next couple people who trickle in are joining a world already in progress.
So they're always joining a world in progress. That's kind of cool because you can impart to them, like, there's a sense of history here, and we do things, and we have traditions.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. And the key part there comes down to you really get the mentality that the world's not around you. It's not centered on you, and that when you leave the stage, it's going to continue on without you, and it was here before you. And so it gives you that nice feeling that for me, it's a nice feeling, but it also imparts on them that this is your time to do something. And if you choose to do nothing, well, the world keeps turning. If you do something, the world keeps turning. And it's about making your mark now, or just being forgotten. And there's plenty of people who are forgotten. So I guess it comes down to you're a hero, kinda. Asterisk footnote. And I guess it's just that idea that you're not. I don't tell you you're a hero. I don't tell you what you need to do. You choose to do something. If the world needs a hero, well, it might need a hero. If it doesn't need, like, if you choose that, nah, I don't need to be a hero. I want to go do something else with my existence. You can. The adventure will come to you eventually, just not the way that you envisioned originally. Because if I set a plot in motion, if you choose to ignore it, eventually it's something, a byproduct or a ripple from that's going to eventually hit you. You may think it's not important now; it probably will become important. But just, the chance that you had to get involved early passed you by. That's really what it comes down to. And it's that chance to give people a power fantasy. Well, not a power fantasy, but a chance to go, for once, you don't have to sit back and go, I'm too scared to act. I have my job, my house, my wages, my comfy existence. I have loans to pay. I have my car to drive. No, this is a chance for you to go, you know what? I can go out and do something. And you can do something because you have more tools than you have in the real world to go out and do something. You're potentially no better than you are now. It's just that you have a bit more risk and it's more fun. Or you're a different species, different race, different profession, different background, different cash levels. You can experiment and see what you want to do. But because I base so much of it off of what you're already working on concepts that, well, it might, like, infinite money might not solve your problems, or violence might not be the solution, or talking might not be the solution, or just so many different ways. And it's about running a complex world that's more than just simply venture to the Dark Lord's house and then punch the Dark Lord, get prizes. Yeah. I mean, there is a Dark Lord. You can go punch him. You can get prizes, but there's going to be consequences. That the story doesn't end because you managed to punch the Dark Lord. Just because you because you saved your kingdom from the fairy realm, doesn't mean that the world stops or resets or goes back to zero. Somebody else is going to look in your direction and might come after you because you've got something, or because you blew all your resources to stop X thing. 5 other people who before didn't have the ability to fight you suddenly now all go, we can get up on them now, or we could, and suddenly you're being eaten by piranhas. Those 5 piranhas don't at all cooperate. They're not friends or allies, but you're the bigger threat. They'll eat you, and now they'll fight each other afterwards, and I get to deal with that. Or how, like, it's one of those things where I guess yeah. But those are the benefits of just running that kind of a world for people. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. And I think more people really should take stock of the history of their campaign world, and at least on a local level, try to have some names and some people that might be muckety mucks and they are past now or long past, but have them to where they've been built up as, like, this is a holiday. This is Count Pulaski's day. Remember back in Illinois when Count Pulaski first got his fucking state holiday. You remember that shit?
Yes. Kashmir Pulaski Day.
Fuck yeah. And that guy, like, I don't know if he knew it at the time. I don't think people realized at the time whenever they're making history just exactly what it was. But we learned about him, and sadly, 20 years later, 30 years later, oh God, 30 years later plus, I have forgotten the Tales of Kashmir Pulaski. I have to Google that guy. But man, and as an aside, I gave Crafting Gamer my blessing since I wasn't going to be able to run a game today. He was able to marshal some troops together and get people together for a game, and he says that they loved it, and for beta test, it went well.
Nice.
My applause to you, sir. That's the goal. That is the goal right there. You want to have them say things like, "I'd like to try this again," or I think this has some promise. We could do this again." Now we just need more days off during the week so we can enjoy each other's games and visions and how we spend our free time. That's the goal.
That is the goal.
I was telling Kai earlier, I'm kind of disheartened. I have this wonderful miniature I'm painting right now, not Tiamat. And on one hand, I love him. I absolutely love it. But on the other hand, I'm kind of sad because I realize like this will take me well into January. This one singular miniature will take me into January. That's all there is to it. And I budgeted, I do budget myself on miniatures. I try to get an average of one miniature done a day, but there's a formula that I use. A large figure, typically, let's use this guy. A large figure, I'll finish him off, and it takes me like 2 days to do.
There's this guy.
Yeah, two days, pretty good. A huge figure for those of you who play 3.5 Pathfinder. A huge figure takes up a 3x3 or 3-inch by 3-inch space, and I usually allocate 4 days for a huge figure. And then for a gargantuan figure, I'll allocate 9 days for a huge gargantuan figure. Gets 9 days. But I've never done something that literally should be on an 8x8 base before. This is my first time doing a figure of this size. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of scared about it because like I want it to look great. When I put it on the table, I want to hear my players pissing their pants. Figuratively, maybe even literally if they're not with me. But I want to hear that. You know, I want to hear the fear in their voices as they recognize, like, my little character is so tiny compared to that dragon. Yeah, I completely want that.
Not a bad ending.
Not a bad ending at all. Having halflings gain access to a kitchen is worthy of at least a happy chapter ending. For those of you that know who Jim Butcher is, his chapters end with 4 typical ways: no, or yes, but the better endings are no but and yes but. And when you end a campaign or an adventure chapter with having halflings with supplies and desire to open up their kitchen in a village full of halflings, that's a yes but ending right there. Because now you have the option for like all of the crafting, all of the logistical hell that you as a GM would want to throw at a player character group. And there's a lot of good logistical hell out there. Do not pay any attention to Burger King, which has their own deployment semi truck given to them by the U.S. military where they can go to the war zone. Don't fucking look at that. That's science fiction for what you're doing. You are trying to build a fucking restaurant or a donkey hauling a cart with freshly ground up horse. You do not need to worry about what Burger King can do. In a real world, you need to worry about what you can do in a fancy campaign with a kitchen. But I'm just saying that, like, there are a lot of things possible. And I use
I
that.
don't know. Part of me would like to have a magical C5 Galaxy with an entire deployable kitchen at the back of it.
The Army would like to have 2-ply toilet paper.
Fuck you ain't getting that. That's money.
I know, that's, again, we're back to science fiction.
I know.
When I was applying the white for the teeth on here, I was sloppy. I hate being sloppy, but sometimes it just, the goal was to get the paint on the figure and for the paint to stop running.
You can touch it up later.
Exactly. That's what we're doing right now. I'll do probably 2 days of going over the various reds and trying to get the reds uniform with the lighter reds on top, the darker reds in the shadowed areas. Then I'm going to varnish it. I guess between now and then, before that varnish, I need to do these spines. That would be smart, wouldn't it? That'd be smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then add some aging to these claws because they're a little bit too white for him being so big. And get the claws a little bit aged. And then once I'm finished with that, then we start working on the necks, fading from red to the various other color spectrum, because I do want to have a cartoon accurate Tiamat.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm very geeky. You know, I love being a sucker for 80s nostalgia. I love hearing a good story.
Right.
Now, I don't really have a whole lot of things to discuss. We could discuss like our hatred for like how nobody that we know that runs Greyhawk or Forgotten Realms goes with the official campaign like highlights, because every time I turn around they rewrite Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms. I don't know if you've noticed that too, but
there's always an excuse on why it happens.
Yeah. Like it's an absolute tragedy because both campaigns offer a lot of history. There's a lot of set campaign games or adventure modules that take place in either of those, and WotC has fucked up and they've made it to where they vacillate from one to the other. Like, oh, you want to play against the Giant series in the Tin Towns area of Faerun? Like, go ahead. You know, we don't give a shit. Come on and do it. Nobody will care. It's just your table. And you know, I gotta say, I like purists. That's kind of why I stay away from allowing every miserable thought from Pathfinder into my Pathfinder game for Forgotten or for the Lost Lands, because the Lost Lands is, you know, its own place. Granted, they do have borrowed some things for Forgotten Realms. If you ever look at the map, you see things like Citadel of the Raven. If you look at the gods list, the biggest god in the world is Ogma. And they're like, that's the Bardscape god. That's the god for all the bards. That's the god for all the college students that would otherwise not want to play this game, you know?
Right.
And I really can't disagree. Okay, if that's your game canon, that's game canon. But I prefer game canon than any other thing. Mind if I throw a link out there for crafting? And if Nerdy wants to come on, Nerdy can come on too. I'll get the link out there, guys. You all right with that, Kai?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I enjoy the thoughts of both of these gentlemen. I wouldn't say they're quote unquote confidants, but I call them friends.
Nerdy,
right. And I should be a better friend to Nerdy because Nerdy lives like within 20 miles of me. You know how many times we've met, hung out, drank a beer? Never.
Not sure yet.
What did you do?
My computer's acting up. 1 second.
That's kind of cool. I mean, he's got the.
I wish I knew how it happened.
You are completely doing the Tim thing.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, it's off now.
Yeah, but
Yep, there's Nerdy. Nerdy and Crafting Gamer, if you two gents want to pop in, you can. Talk about today's game. Talk about your own thoughts on gaming. This is not a... As much as I do appreciate a small structure, I am not a commissar on my streams. I do not force you to discuss the fineries of food that you can find on the Moonsea versus the food along the Dragon Spine, the small settlements there. I'm not going to force you to have that conversation with me. Kai, are you having to reboot, or is it staying stable? Kai dropped. Kai can come back. Of course he knew that. For those of you that are here watching, tell you what.
can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad to hear that.
I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden you dropped. I don't know if that was intentional or what have you, but
Browser decided that it wanted to do something, but now you can hear my actual mic, my main mic again.
okay.
What do you think of my Christmas present?
Ooh. Is that a mask?
Yes. It's a black wolf skull mask with gold trim and lining.
Very nice.
My sister got it for me. First thing one of my friends asked when I show this to her, "What's your persona?" Really?
that wasn't my first question.
No, but that was hers. It's like, I don't have one. It's just a cool mask.
Now everything has to have an agenda, dude. You have to understand, like, everything you do has an agenda to it. Like if you decide that you're going to push your shopping cart into the shopping cart corral, you're obviously lawful good.
Yeah. I'm actually very tempted on wearing this thing to town one day. Just walk into Walmart with this thing on my face.
Man.
Be one of the many memes. I actually wouldn't do it, but it's tempting.
Part of me is like, yeah, go ahead and do it. It's it's a free country, but the other hand of me is like, you're in that part of the country where like there's people that shelter in place and have been sheltering in place since 1960.
Yep.
And they see that and they might get like, Martha, get the shotgun out of the back of the gun rack of the KT 1700.
Yeah. Well, that would probably be if I went to Walmart. If I went downtown, the main street, people would just be asking me where I got it.
I love how you immediately understood my statement there, and you labeled the Walmart shopper as the closeted bigot.
Yeah. But yeah, as for the story, it started with a ring, a cursed ring. Mind you, I am especially today, since I didn't have anything planned, I'm a very much bullshit GM. I'll just pull shit out of my ass. So, Nerdy, being the butcher, I had Nerdy and Janet, was butchering a pig and discovered a ring. The ring immediately attached itself to Nerdy's hand, and it was pleading desperately for him to help him because it was being used to do vile things. So Journey and Janet spent time back and forth, trying to figure out what this ring is. Is it good? Is it evil? Here's the thing: I put a magical ring in front of them. Both of their magic stats were the lowest they could be.
I don't know if that's good planning or not, but that's fun how you made that happen.
Uh-huh. So they decided to go ahead and listen to the ring. They needed to go off to a taboo place. And, well, the ring, still being what it is, had power. Based off of a really good roll, the ring decided to trust Janet's character and tell it Janet could use its power. So it goes, I realize, especially if I'm doing the 10 times experience for a single game, the alcohol I gave one of the families is very, very powerful. Because drinking or eating is how you get experience. So it's kind of broken when you're trying to do a quick campaign. So on the way there, they leveled up like 3 times.
Are you using your?
No, I am using the roll. It's my own system once again, but not the one I already built. This is instead of being based off of Palladium, this one's based off of Tune.
Kai, I almost want to say summon the wife. We have somebody talking about Tune, but never mind. No, I just recognized like Carmen likes Tune.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to make a slightly jokey game. So the ring knew what needed to happen, so they needed to go to a temple. The ring told them to free it. They needed to immerse the ring in a pie.
Still sounds very Tune-ish.
So when they get there, they mind you, once again, I'm pulling everything out of my ass. They find a ham just hanging there magically. Let's see here. It's nerdy. Rolled an 2 on a 2d6. So, and that is critical. So he made his roll to see what kind of magical item it was. It was the back ham of Hades. It does 1 additional fire damage, and if you take a bite off of it, you get 2 temporary hit points. And because it's considered a food item, you get 100 bites off of it, then it becomes a bone. But the bone can still be used as a weapon.
The fact that you're working food into an RPG to this degree makes me so happy.
Well,
but I recognize I can't eat this. Like there's 1/3 of the day that I could eat this. That I could play this game. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well,
sir.
as they explore, they get found by a wax food golem. But it wasn't completely made out of it. Was being the type of game this is, you start off with low hit points, and this thing was only 4 hit points, so 4 good blows and it's gone. Nerdy. Well, no, it started with Janet. Janet going first. She was a member of the Dragonfoot clan, which are drunken boxers. So she punches it, knocks off some fruit. It misses. Well, the first attack it misses. Then she misses, and then she hits it. It misses. No. Let me remember correctly. Sorry. The first attack on both of them was a whiff because they were going at the same time. You get 2 actions. Her second action, they punched each other's fist because they managed to land a punch on each other. Because when you tie, you go at the same time. Nerdy had to go last. Nerdy, out of the evolution, because I'm calling them evolutions in this game, chose the evolutionary talent, Dragon's Burp, or Dragon's Belch, which gives you 1 of 3 effects. A knockout effect, a rusting effect, or basically a sonic effect. Oh, that reminds me, I forgot to mention, when they first got to the temple, they just so Nerdy had the ability to use that ability, I put a giant metal lock on a gate, so he had to belch the gate down. Disintegrated the lock, the chain, and left a hole in the gate. But then he used the Mighty Belch. which is basically a sonic attack, which hits this thing for 2 damage because that's, in my case, I made it a weakness because it's just being held together by floral wire and crap like that. And then Janet, rolling not a critical, but really close to it for her physical attack. I decided to give her a really cool ending because she managed to hit it. So she leaped off of, in this case, a fig leaf's chest and did a karate axe kick down on its head, splitting it in 2. Thanks to the endurance, because they took a bite off of the ham, thanks to the endurance she had, she took 1 damage that didn't actually hurt her because she kicked a giant rock candy club. It's what did I call it? The speed rock, kind of making a reference to meth. You lick it, you get to basically 2 to your speed, your coordination, which is basically your speed and stealth. And because it's extra hard rock, it does 2 damage. You get 100 licks before it's just a stick.
Okay.
Then they get to the end of the. This was done basically under 3 hours, so it's all kind of brief. So they get to the end and find the pie, because the ring transferred to Janet because it trusted her. Janet put her finger near the pie. It flew into the pie, and then basically a light wind elemental flew up into the air. Thanked them deeply for freeing it, because it doesn't even know how it was in there for so long. It forgot how its own homeland. Then a little portal opened up. It thanked them again and went through. Then they came out of that particular room. There was 2 other rooms there, a kitchen and a sealed magic door. So they go to check out the kitchen. First thing I roll is a double ot. So Janet finds a really nice recipe. Yay. Then the rest of the rolls for the kitchen, bad. Then I roll 3 ot 1s in a row. So I was already.
When you're rolling die, are you doing like a 2-dice-6 system,
Yes.
or is it like a
2d6 against your stat, which can be a maximum of 11. So you got to roll it below your stat. But this was a rolling to see what they get. I'm just using the D6 as for consistent. I'm using the D6 for consistency. And then like, oh shit. Well, I was already toying with the idea of making the kitchen portable, because I was inspired by the little portable kitchen that I showed you in Discord. So Janet, on the way out, happened to notice a little magical switch, basically a touchscreen, and the kitchen folded up. And then they're like, okay, well, they also found a key in there, so they took the key to the larder, which is magically sealed. Nerdy had to do a physical roll because the door was sealed with ice, because it's kept cold through magic. I rolled 3 ot 1s in a row for what's in the larder. At this point, they were already talking about starting up a restaurant because of the kitchen. It's like, all right, you have at least a month's supply worth of restaurant supplies here, at least, maybe more. They want to know, well, does this fold up too? All right, I roll ot 1. Basically, I rolled 7 ot runs in a row.
Sounds like the players had a nice amount of wealth come their way.
Yes, all for the players. Why can't I not roll that good when I'm in your game? But I'm DMing and rolling for the players. Oh, you going to get something good? Oh, they get a lot of goodies.
Okay. Like last game I ran with Chris and the other high-level players, including Janet. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I was rolling really hot for a while.
I've seen that.
And like Connell was ready to just like, we're done for the day. I'm kumquatting out of here. We're done. Like I'm teleporting out. I want to quit, because that's the 7th natural 20 I've seen Bruce roll on that camera fixated on the die tower, where when you release it, it's supposed to randomly drop onto a number between 1 and 20.
Yeah.
And I got like 7 of them, and I was like, don't quit. Chris, here, fuck with this die for a little bit. Chris fucks with the die for a little bit. And on his die tower, he rolls a natural 1, and he hands it back to me after I see that. I'm like, okay, well, maybe the magic has been sucked out. And I throw it down my die tower, and it rolls a natural 1. Which I immediately mulligan, like, Connell, you got your wish, you little bastard. So he was happy. Not a real bad critical event happened to Connell, which he was very, very fortunate, but typically I don't allow things like that, but I'd had so much good luck with that die and the other die at the table that day that I can afford to lose a couple. I can afford to not completely wipe the party. I'm trying not to wipe the party.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people don't understand, that like I actively have to try to not roll so fucking well on that system in particular, because it seems like it's just real easy for me to roll natural 20 whenever, like, okay, well, fate wants you to die. Not fate, Bruce. Bruce wants you to die,
Yeah.
And it's harder with a D100 system. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm not that good of a roller to where I have that happen at my table too frequently, but I figure that luck, like, I need to figure out a way to make that not happen so much, because it just looks suspect. You have like 10 natural 20s on camera pop up, and then you give your buddy, go ahead, you fuck with it, and he magically rolls a natural 1, and you're like, see guys, you look like a shyster. Or somebody who's using telekinetics to alter the die manipulation. Which I wish that
was the Force, Bruce. Use the Force.
I wish that was the case. I really do.
Yeah, in the case of the game we were just playing, there is technically one way to die. I mean, it's even written in if you get knocked out, the creature or whatever is going to ignore you. But if you go long enough without eating, you starve to death. Though I got to write in for the non-common sense GMs. 99% of the time, you're going to be in the middle of a village. Chances are, if you collapse from starvation, someone's going to wake you up and feed you before you die.
I would hope.
Yeah. Oh, right. I almost forgot. This was a bit of a Christmas celebration. Janet named it. I didn't know what to call the little event that the halflings were having, but Janet named it very well. What was it? The Feast of Hibernation. Everybody eats so much food they basically sleep for 5 days.
Oh my God, they all got the itis.
That actually inspired me, because it reminded me of Kai. I think it was Kai one time saying a good thing to add to your game is holidays and a calendar. So I'm definitely going to do that. I got to chew up some space for this book anyway, because a friend of mine wants me to put it on Amazon, and I would like it to be something people can get physical. Well, I got to have at least 72 pages for that.
Lulu.
Oh, I'm going to put it everywhere I can get my hands on. He doesn't want me to put it on Drive-Thru RPG, but I'm going to. He keeps insisting that Amazon by itself will be better. It's like, no, it won't. Though I know people I literally know people on Drive-Thru RPG who refuse to use Amazon for anything.
I know a lot of people that don't ever go to Amazon. They will go to Drive-Thru RPG, and if it's not on Drive-Thru RPG, they just don't even fuck with it.
Exactly. So I want to reach a broader audience than just the people on Amazon. So it'll literally go everywhere I could put the book. And if it could be free, it's going to be free. It's not meant to be moneymaker. It's meant to be, hey, this guy actually writes some pretty fun books. Oh, it's a more serious book this time. I wouldn't mind checking that out. Oh, it actually costs money? Well, I've liked his work so far. I'll spend money on that. I've not met anyone personally, except maybe Victor from the Scrying Dutchman, who's done something like that and it's worked for him. But I've seen a lot of people on YouTube who at least claim that if you do slowly like that, that's a good way to get your name out there. I mean, it makes sense, honestly. Not instant fame, but you get your name out there. Of course, a lot of people claim advertising on YouTube is a big help. Yeah. But the game itself, oh man, it was started. This game was inspired by the fact that Shadow and Justin were considering playing a game of Men and wanted a GM. They wanted to play. I tried reading Men and hit my limit at cannibalism.
That is a very hard game to read. As somebody who read a third of the book on a stream once.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, cannibalism in and of itself wouldn't bother me, but it's on top of everything else.
Yeah, that book is a hard read. Like I can typically watch like political humor, and if it's done well, an hour of it's pretty good.
Yeah.
After about an hour, wrap it up, credits, get me out of there.
Yeah.
Men is not light material.
No.
15 minutes, I was ready to pull the ejection handle.
Oh yeah. Well, now after finding out pretty much no one's going to run it, Justin literally said, "Then how about a game where we're running around stealing things as hobbits?" I literally got so inspired right after that show. I wrote about it. I ended up abandoning that particular set of rules, but I wrote about 3/4 of a set of basic rules, not in-depth rules, that within 3 hours. And then I ended up abandoning that because that was based a little too heavily on Palladium, and then realized that this game would benefit from the tune setup.
Any thoughts on that, Kai?
Not really. I'm kind of lost in it, but no. I'm just listening.
Okay. I was just kind of curious because I know you've had experience with con games before. Kai's like me. He revels in the long play, the long campaign. But
I think my problem is that I've not had a good con experience in a long time. That's a role-playing experience. Honestly, it's too hard to convey or to really get into character for a 4-hour experience. And usually the 4-hour experience for a convention or a short game is usually amounts to nothing more than playing a guessing game of what is the GM thinking, what's the obvious answer, and then following a series of once you figure out what the GM wants, you just follow the course of events. And if you start to stray too far off the beaten path, well, now you're leaving the adventure module. Why bother playing now? So it's really just a strange experience of, I just paid money to sit here and have someone tell me what I'm going to do. Because if you do anything that's wrong, it's an auto failure. The mission's over. You've lost the con game. It's over. It's done. Congrats. And then if you can play the guessing game right, if you can guess what either the GM, who probably might be making it up off the top of their head, or worse, they're running some kind of book module where at that point it's not guess what the GM is thinking, it's guess what some weirdo whack job who is drinking coffee in Seattle was thinking about.
Seattle, that'd be coffee and crack.
Yeah, you know what? Whatever. The person who wrote it may or may not be dead. Doesn't matter. You don't know who they are. They're just a name in a book. And then you find out, well, the guy who's running it, well, he's the guy who actually wrote that book. I don't know that. I don't know you. I don't care about you. I don't read who wrote my books unless I really, really, really like the book. And then I go, oh, this book was written by this one guy. But for the most part, I don't care who wrote it unless it's like I wrote the entire role-playing game. Riffs, Palladiums, it's all one guy. And two guys, and they wrote everything.
Don't ever discount CJ Corella. He actually wrote some good stuff for Riffs.
It's just the name on the cover at that point. It's like,
yeah.
There's certain books where I know that, okay, this book was written by so-and-so. I know it's going to have these biases, it's going to do these things, and it's going to have this thing. But for the most part, if I'm sitting down for a convention game or for a game I've never played before, and I'm just here to try it out for the first time, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you wrote it. I have no opinion of you. I don't care if the guy who's running it is the guy who wrote it. I don't care. And for the most part, the game is just. But if they're running it from a module, we're running module blah blah dash number, and it's like, okay, cool. And at that point, it's just playing, can you guess what the writer wants you to do? What is the optimal choice to get you through these adventure, through the adventure in the next 2 hours, the next 2.5 hours? Because the first hour is going to be get everybody up to speed, and you're never going to finish the module. You're just going to get to the end of, well, guys, we're near the end of my 4-hour block. We need to wrap things up. And thus, you really only get 2.5 hours to play, and you better do what the GM's like. I haven't had a good experience outside of LARPs, honestly. The big open RPGs where they give you a character and a role, and then they tell you to go out and make your own story, and then at that point, the next 4 to 6 hours is going to be spent running around and talking and having a good time with people who are not following a script and who may choose to just ignore completely and totally whatever the GM or storytellers tell you to do. And then you walk away. And you went, that was a good experience. And meanwhile, the storyteller's like, I didn't expect there to be a horrible conspiracy happening between, X, Y, and Z groups who aren't supposed to be friends, but they're all suddenly now friends, and suddenly a major named character is dead on the ground, and we're like, we chose that's how we're going to do it. We're sorry, storytellers, you didn't run a very interesting character, or we really hated this guy, so we killed him.
Well,
and we had a good experience, and we'll come back tomorrow for part 2 of this game. And it's like, aren't you going to play any other games? Like, why? I'm part of this bigger game. Yeah, I'd rather play this than I would some other weird thing. Or I'll play a board game. But for the most part, con games don't. Outside of a grab and smash, war game, or hey, we're gonna run Iron Bottom Sound, or a naval war game, or a war game, or like BattleTech, I'm probably not going to care because convention role-playing games suck.
That's kind of weird because, I'm the outlier on this. Not many other people do what I do, and that's okay. But on my channel, from 2009, there's the winter convention they had at East Peoria College, where I was running Tolus. And in the Tolus book, there's a campaign that goes from like 1st to 20th level. And we covered from like 6th level to 9th level in that campaign. I don't think I got all of the I didn't record everything. I wanted to. But I was just having fun running that, quote unquote, that scenario, that adventure path, which it was kind of lead by the nose, but at the same time, like the players, after you've been in Tolus for like 90 minutes, and you've been talking with people, and you get a various idea that this is a campaign city that you're supposed to explore, and you're supposed to take notes, you're supposed to like write things down. um, Once players understand that, like they realize this is not a standard like D&D game. This is a game where like things are connected. And, like aside from the city just being connected, well, the sewers are connected to the surface, and then the surface connects to the sewers. The sewers go down to the dwarven city level, and if you make it past the dwarven city level, there's like some caves, and beyond the caves is a drow city, and then there's like ways that you can get around, and all those sub levels. You go back up to the surface, like an adventure set in humanoids, where like the surface is only so far away. If you need an out, you possibly could get it if you know the routes, if you have the maps. It's built like that. And just like how everything is literally connected on a physical level, like there's factions, and there's like 22 factions in that city. And if you know this NPC, yeah, he runs this guild here, but his brother is a shitty mid-level cleric at this church. And so if you have trouble buying potions from the goody goody two shoot church, you go over here and buy them from these guys because they're kind of assholes. But then, like, there's this merchant guild over here, and they're pretty much funneling stuff back and forth among the other guilds. But then they have this really bad no discussion of things you're not supposed to sell, not supposed to talk about on YouTube. And if you want to get involved with that, you can. Everything in Tolus was so well done that I think I ran that for 2 years straight, if I remember right. And my players came back, like 5 of the 9 players came back and played through all 6 sessions. And that was
Wow.
that was like, because I would run all 6 sessions of the convention, we would just continue the campaign. Oh, we'll leave your fucking character here. Somebody else might use it next session. Well, I want to play my own character. Okay, well, either generate your first fucking 3.5 character in 5 minutes, or use one of the pre-gens that somebody else has helped shape over the course of leveling up over the past 5 levels. And I prefer to do convention games like that. I'm not normal, I get it, but that's whenever I say things like I'm not normal, I'm not your normal GM, I'm trying to tell you that, like, for convention games, for an RPG, it's better for me to just run a consistent campaign, because I can write shit down, and I can like notate stuff, and I can say what happened, and I can catch people up in the first 10 minutes of the game. Like, this happened last campaign, and these players here did this, and this did this. And 4 of those players are right here. If you have questions, talk to them.
Yeah.
I love to do that. That's my way of how to do a convention game. Convention gaming done right by Bruce Lombardo. Blah, 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 blah.
I've never done convention gaming. I've never been to a convention.
You don't need it. You don't need one anymore. We have YouTube. We have fucking VTTs.
Yeah.
We have the ability to reach out and contact 5 to 10 people in our friends and tertiary friends lists any given time, and be able to recruit for we're doing a mini series of games, or we're doing a campaign every other week or every week where they're doing this. Are you in? And most people will be like, no, I've got stuff going on. That's why you have like 25 to 30 friends on your various networks, and you put it out there like, I'm looking to run a game on this day and this time. If you're interested, please let me know. And let them have that hook. Because a long campaign to me is a lot more fun than, like, no offense about one-shots. One-shots are great, especially when you're fucking around with the system. But a long campaign allows you to really punch the kidneys and see if it has staying power.
Well, I'll admit I was kind of worried, especially in the fact I was upping experience by literally 10 times, so we could get a few levels in this one shot. I feel this actually has potential, because part of the reason is you can make your own abilities. I think this does have potential for long-term interest. Maybe not more than a year or 2, but long-term interest.
That's better than the majority of people sitting down for campaigns right now.
Yeah.
The average campaign length is still 6 sessions.
I mean, you could do something interesting in this with that, but it has the potential for so much more. I can feel it from this little experience, because Janet and Nerdy were taking their characters, and both with the stuff I had already pre-generated and their own ideas in so many interesting ways. Yeah, they wanted some of the same abilities, but they also wanted different abilities. And like Janet made up ability that's going to go in the book called Puppy Dog Eyes. You get a bonus when you're dealing with people.
I can completely see her doing that.
That was the first thing she said too. Was, "Hey, can I have ability like this?" That was like totally awesome. She was immediately into the doing making her own thing.
Actually, I kind of like that idea. Makes me really happy that I've got good players. I've got good friends that they like to get into character.
Yep. Nerdy decided to take one of what I consider, I already told about the blush, but one of the other ones that I kind of like and find very interesting, Orc Gut. It allows you to eat anything from rotten food to shit, and still gain 2 experience points. Or in this case, 20.
Hey Kai, remember the bone gnawer ability where you can like take a shoelace and a half of an eaten onion and you put it all into like a half full Folgers can and you mix it together and make some chili and you can eat on that.
Yes.
That's what that shit reminds me of right there.
Well, the ability also counts because you're supposed to eat, for your experience, you're supposed to eat, but you don't just get to eat raw vegetables. You have to eat pre-made recipes. Even cheese and preserved meats count as a recipe.
So tonight, I'm happy that I decided on doing this after I ate because tonight we like the wife told me she's like we need to use the ham because the ham is gonna turn in the next couple days. Okay,
Yeah.
I can eat ham every day the rest of my life, no problem.
I'm hoping my mother gets the time to make some ham bone soup.
Cut up some ham, got some potatoes, and I let them de-starch for about 30 minutes. Drain the water, put water back in the pan with potatoes. The baking potatoes are huge.
Yeah.
And like we have this thing could hold 8 cups. Like it's a big skillet. So I throw in these 2 big potatoes and I cut them up and put in some water, start to boil it, let it boil for like an hour. Put in some tomatoes and garlic, put in some rice, and put in the chopped ham. And I feel really good. Like I feel satisfied. After a full day of smelling really bad barbecue, and I came home and cleaned myself up and like got my nostrils washed out because it was clinging to me. I fell down. I fell down at work today trying to speak up around the interior trap, and like it's like you ever spill like one of those gallon government issued jars of like tomato paste and like the stuff like it goes from tomato paste to the slickest substance in the world. I don't know what happened, but I slipped on it and like from my ankle to my shoulder, you got red paste all over my uniform. And I felt bad about my coworker because I was using his truck. Most of it came off. Sorry about that. Most of that stuff just came right off of me. And I got rid of it. But like its smell was clinging to me and it smelled like bad barbecue. And so I was there for like 3 hours with this stuff clinging to my side. Got back home, changed out, drove home with shorts and t-shirt on, wiped down myself, went to the laundromat, and after I had a nice long shower, putting my face up against the nozzle of the shower, I was hungry after that, and that's why I made the food I did. I'm happy I had that food because if I'm listening to you talk about an RPG where you get experience points for eating, like the part of me wants to play this game, and the other part of me feels like I'd turn into Nick Avocado.
Yeah, well, I like. I've added a few things that are definitely highly food related. Like in combat, you can eat a snack, and that is considered a free action. And eating food in combat heals you, so you don't need spells or potions.
That's kind of a cool idea.
Well, this is all about food and the halfling. Like the idea, I can't be too whimsical. It's just not in me. So there's a slight seriousness to this, which is if you eat enough food, you gain experience. So if you eat enough food, you get more powerful. So you're running around as a thief stealing food because you get stronger from eating. And if you were to eat as much as like you could, if you play the normal game, the highest experience is 20 experience from eating something. But I still haven't written in yet. But your character could literally sit down, eat 1,000 experience worth of food, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah, it's definitely a farcical game because I can tell you that whenever I've overeaten too much, like I pay for it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. No one else can. No. This is a trait that's not known about heavily within the village, within the valley or the village, whatever. So it's a talent. It's a trait that's usually hidden. That's why they're stealing. Because if they were to eat that amount openly, people would be like, "What the fuck?"
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, I can't be too whimsical. It's just not in me. But I've been able to keep up a few whimsical things, like I have I don't know if either you both should recognize this. I basically put a Kinder bag in the game.
Oh.
And it's called kleptomania. It's one of your evolutionary talents. You just have a random. I still need to write the list for D66, but you could literally just like the. I'm not going to pull off the exact because I don't have the book to do so. But you could pull out anything from a pocket lint to a magical backham. Oh, fuck me, man! I don't know much about the man personally, but as his roles, I looked up to the man. Most of his roles were stuff I felt like I could look up to. Now look at him. He's slowly turning into Jabba the Hutt.
Who is
Facial
this?
hair.
That's Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
There was a visit he made to Belarus. He's going around with Lukashenko's country residents, and the Belarusian leader just hands him a carrot and says, "Eat it. It's healthy." Fuck.
I haven't had a good homegrown carrot in forever. Yeah, I'm actually getting very close to being true play. This was just a play around play test, so I'd have to call it a beta test.
Yeah.
But I'm getting very close to actual play tests. Like I said, I still got to write down the kleptomania list. I have to properly fill out the classes because since you're supposed to be a thief, there are 3 archetypes: the hard worker, the thief, and the thief with the day job. The thief with the day job is what you're supposed to be. The other 2 archetypes are just meant to get the DM quick NPCs. So I have, what do I have again? I think I have a caster, here we go. Caster, chef, butcher, farmer, merchant, tinkerer. I'm still trying to keep it simple. Plus, I wanted to get 6 in there because I'm going to actually they're in alphabetical order now, but later I'm going to scramble them up so they can be randomly chosen by D6. I don't know if I'm going to pose that one as GM's choice. That one might just be player's choice because you do get to choose your own path in life. But I like that. I always like having that option. Like for example, Bruce when he made those characters, I let everyone else choose what they wanted first, and I would choose what's left, literally randomly getting what I got. I love that, and I'm enjoying the character too.
Mongoose?
Yep. But I had no idea what I was going to get.
I'm having fun with that campaign quite a bit.
Oh,
Wrote
so
up
am I.
some spells, and I'm almost to the point where I can actually write spells for the apprentice book. So once I get that figured out, I can get the spells done for the journeyman book. But
Yeah, your busyness is part of the reason why I haven't opened up a spell book that's currently sitting in our stash. Like I really want to open that spell book, but that means Bruce has to come up with a crap ton of spells.
and fast.
Yeah, and fast. And
Appreciate your patience, but
I didn't want to do that to you.
we'll be doing more of that because after your guys' work in Dunamon, we're gonna probably take like a year or two off. I don't see this campaign. While you guys do have like things that you want to do and accomplish, like
Oh yeah.
I just don't see adventurers where they're like, we got to do this and then we got to do this and then 2 weeks later we got to be in this town and do this and this and this and this
No,
and this.
especially not with the way we're playing it. We all have families. We like taking our time off. I have a settlement I have to run, so I have to be there. Not necessarily all the time, but I got to be there a decent amount of time.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that's a smarter way to look at a campaign.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's working. So none of our players complain about it, and like,
no.
I'm happy it's going as smooth as it is.
Oh, that reminds me. I got a good giggle out of the players, out of Nerdy and Janet when I fumbled my word while I was talking as somebody, so I just made it so he was making fun of himself for fumbling a word. And I didn't expect to get the giggle I did out of them. Like it wasn't that funny, but apparently it was. But yeah, for a game I pulled numbers out of the air. I think it actually worked out pretty well. I mean, character creation, both Janet and Nerdy. I mean, they could have balanced their characters differently, but it still balanced exactly like I wanted it to in my head. If you're for a starting character, you have a couple of average stats. You might have one or two really bad stats, or if you balanced it right because you get points, it's points instead of rolling. You could have a really really good stat or two decent stats. But there's no way you can have two awesome stats right off the bat. That comes up with leveling. The only thing I've seen that might have been wrong, I mean, with the fast that they were leveling up right now, it might not have been. It was not a problem. But if you're doing a long-term game, I think I might want to do 2 evolutionary points per level instead of 1.
Okay.
Because I could see with each level they were really really limited on what they were able to do because you do have 4 options. You can level up one. You can increase one of your stats. So technically, if you want to say 3 plus 4, so 7 options. But anyway, increase one of their 4 stats. Increase their health. Purchase a evolutionary talent or purchase a spell. But spells cost 2 evolutionary points. Spells have less limitations to them. Evolutionary points have to have some sort of biological factor, basically. But everything you make has to still fit within the reality of the game. Oh, I decided to basically rip on Tolkien a little bit. The halfling's form of currency is mushrooms.
Kai, do you have a problem with that?
I
kind of do, only because the fact that it's not a stable form of currency. I mean, yeah, the koku is rice, but a portion of rice. But the fact is that does it have a very Japanese style of does the value of the generic mushroom increase or decrease depending on the size of harvest and or availability of said mushrooms, or is it the actual mushroom? Is there a exchange rate?
Weight?
What?
Is there a weight?
Is there a standard?
Involved?
Is there a standard metric for what a mushroom is, or do they have a semi form of fiat currency, which this item is worth a portion of mushroom? I mean, as somebody who understands why fiat currency, well, not even backed currency, still actually has a reason for existence, and why you would have coin of the realm, but the coin of the realm is a growable substance that's consumed. Eating food, and how many mushrooms translates to a skilled laborer's work? I mean, these are things
mushrooms are collected
as a filthy merchant would care about.
Yeah. Well, I had actually thought about this. This is part of the reason why there is the Wildfoot family. They are the richest family in the land because even during winter, nobody knows why, but they could find mushrooms. Of course, obvious reason, magic. In a world with magic, why else would you find mushrooms year round? So the value of mushrooms never
growing environments.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you make a point. Because for them, a mushroom, as long as it's edible, a mushroom's a mushroom.
And if you would like Kai to test out the false economy in your RPG, please, you can wire him money at that. Sorry.
No, I think on Discord. I will gladly stress test your economic modeling for your game engine.
Yeah, well, I gotta shift. I transferred a bunch of items over from the first book I was working on, the Skies of the Upon the Skies. From there, but I looked at the prices to what I give people because you're supposed to get 200 mushrooms a day. The prices I have currently, Kai would just laugh and go, "Nobody can afford anything."
That's one of the first signs that your economic model that you're basing your game on is flawed. Is if how do people actually conduct daily business? Can you actually do trade, or have we devolved down to pure barter? Because there's a certain point where no, shut the fuck up now.
Well, I haven't written it in yet, but barter is supposed to be part of the system. I mean, these guys are medieval village basically, so if barter is not part of the system, it's not really medieval.
But coin of the realm is definitely predates the medieval age. I mean, coin is coin.
Yeah,
it goes back into. So we're dealing with a group of prehistory people. Dear God, it's a people who are peaceful and happy and trading in foodstuffs. By God, I want to find these people and conquer them because they will have nothing. They will have nothing.
Oh no! It even writes at the very beginning that if bandits come by, they literally just offer them a bunch of food.
But then the bandits level up, and now they can be stronger, and you don't want to do that.
That only happens. Well, that only happens if you're one of the halflings from the village. They've been isolated for so long; they've evolved differently.
That is interesting. I was not expecting that answer.
Oh, I have to write it in now that I have more. Now that I have more space for it, it's going to be written in that they have been only recently like literally within the last 100 years, contact with the outside world, and that was only because several settlements came close enough to actually find them.
For some reason, I'm just hearing "Rule Britannia" being played in the background, getting louder and louder as it gets closer. We have found an untouched, naive, virgin population of innocent people. Quick, exploit them.
Oh, that reminds me of that good meme with Nicolas Cage. And he's like, Texas, going to secede and ignore all the silliness from the United States. The United States, happy to see that there's a nation full of oil and brown people to its immediate south. Oh, God. We're going to hell. But that was a funny joke, I thought. That's a quality meme because so many times we've done this. Like, oh, look, it's a country rich in fossil fuels and hydrocarbons. Yep. And they're brown.
Bomb them.
Fucking, I can hear McCain in his grave. Get him, guys.
I can hear a Cheney somehow in the background screaming that too. Fuck. Well, it won't take long now.
We're streaming on Twitter, by the way, because I figure at some point YouTube's just going to be like, it's just smash me with their thumb. Yeah. The spirit of St. Susan will come back.
Oh, that reminds me. When we were streaming, I was actually streaming to Rumble. Apparently, Rumble have removed their five follower limit. So only have 3 followers on Rumble.
Rumble's been doing really good lately. Can't complain about Rumble.
Hey, it works for me. I can't say I'll do anything that'll get me kicked off YouTube. That is very unlikely given the content I do. But streaming to more platforms, especially given what I'm trying to do, is a good idea.
Yeah. I was thinking about streaming my gameplay for Armored Core 6 until I played it for the first time a few days back, and I realized I got to get good at this.
No, people love failure videos. If you're crappy right now, people will love watching you get better.
I failed the first boss on the first playthrough. I haven't tried for a second time yet. But the first boss on Armored Core 6 is it's like, you're going around and you're picking up, like, trying to find somebody who has a ID that you can use and pillage. And like on the 4th one, all of a sudden here comes this giant helicopter hind mouse combination, and your little contact on the PA system is like, oh yeah, by the way, I think he got fucked over. And then like he just leaves. He cuts out. He's like, deuces, I'm out. And it's just you and this giant hind flying around, and it's really cool because like you can like just trudge along at like walking speed with your mech, or you can like click in on your shift key and now you're gliding at 80 mile per hour. It's a 13-story mech, 80 mile per hour. This is absolutely like Kai is going ape shit in his head with like how much power needs to be generated by this thing. And then there's this giant mouse hind conglomeration just like bombarding you with missiles and beam weapons and impact weapons. And I died. I died like a bitch.
Mouse butt end.
Man, that game is a pain in the ass.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, I don't play nearly as much games as I used to. I just don't have the interest I used to. I still play, but just not nearly as often.
The reason why I want to play this and beat this boss is that when you do, they unlock your mecha character sheet, and you can go into the various parts, and you can get new parts, and you can buy new parts, and you can replace stuff. And the customization in this stupid game, like, there's more configurations for mechs on an Armored Core 6 than there is for the 2010 Honda Civic.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
It's ridiculous. So I'm here for it. I'm going to get good.
I'm not gonna. I have absolutely no problem with people playing games. I actually miss being that interested. I really do miss being interested in playing video games. That is something it bugs me.
Do you have Amazon?
Yes, I do. I actually have Amazon Prime. I actually have been meaning to use it to watch.
Have you watched
stuff.
Secret Level yet?
No. Right now, I've just barely gotten to the Jeff Dunham stuff.
Okay.
I keep forgetting that I have it.
The first episode of Secret Level deals with Armored Core.
And it's so good.
It's very good. It's got Keanu Reeves in it.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I'll definitely have to check that out then.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I thought this is just a money grab, whatever. Keanu, nope. This is a honest to goodness, like Keanu puts it in more effort on the acting with this than he did with John Wick 1, 2, or 3, or 4. And I honestly feel that. I feel that he saves his best work for like a blue screen, because he's done great work for video games. I know that sounds really lame, but he's a hell of an actor. And I never thought I'd ever say that about Keanu Reeves, because I used to make fun of his performance in Bill and Ted. Whoa,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a really good actor, and he sells it.
Yeah.
So, Kai, I got to ask you something.
Yeah.
When you are designing, are you still messing with the steampunk world with your D&D group, your Pathfinder group?
Yeah, I'm not going to leave that world. That's so great. It's a fun world.
Have you started? You've started putting holidays and like various seasonal changes and various like things that personalize that game experience versus like somebody else running like we're just running in a Final Fantasy VI. So if you know Final Fantasy VI, that's the same world. Blah blah blah. Here we go. Here's a dungeon. Go get your magic stones. You do
Somewhere
more.
I've got written down all the holidays and weird shit like that, but I'm mostly they worry about the fact that they're traveling, like there's no grand universal like welcome to not Christmas. It's Sanguinella. No, you mean it's Christmas? No, it's not Christmas. It's Emperor Day. It's Sinsmas. Yeah, okay, cool. It's not Halloween. It's Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm sorry. There's enough regional, like I know there's one place where they have about a billion, like they have a lot of holidays, but they're just like local holidays, and the nation is happy to have a lot of days off because they're a very hardworking nation. So they have a shit ton of holidays, enough that most of the people who are visiting them are like, do you guys actually work a full work week? And they're like, yeah, but we have a lot of days off because we just do, because of the idea that this was a country that industrialized and modernized, but didn't embrace the 5-day work week. They kept on the old peasant, the old medieval holiday schedule of we have a holiday for like every fucking week. And so they make up for it by, well, the rest of the week they work harder. Do they work weekends? Fuck no. I mean, there's a holy day, a rest day, there's a holiday, and then there's 4 days to work. Are they really productive? You can do a lot in 4. Everyone just works 10 hours. Like they have a 40-hour work week. They all work 4 10-hour days and have 3 days off. And there's an excuse why every time. Every once in a while, shit, is this the 1 week a year we actually have to work 5 days? Shit, make a holiday up. And they're happy with that. But I also have the only major holiday I really worry about is the universal 5-day holiday, which is the day that doesn't fit into the calendar. And the 5 days that don't fit in the calendar. And everyone's like, wait, there's 5 days that don't fit in the calendar? I'm like, yeah, because I embrace the idea that there's 12 30-day months, and that they decide that, well, there's 5 days left over. Well, that's global holiday. And the entire world went, okay, we can deal with that, because I also gave us a reason behind that, because that's the 5 days that the gods need to actually turn the world off for 5 days, do calibration and maintenance work on the world, and then turn everything back on. At the end of calibration, and like, what happens during calibration? And at which point I go, magic stops working. And they're like, wait, what? Yeah, for 5 days, magic just stops. Well, do the gods answer prayers? No, they're busy. Doing what? Maintenance. So do wizards have magic? No. But mine isn't divinely. No. The gods turn off magic for 5 days. It's a holiday. Well, what can we do during those 5 days? Whatever you want, just no magic.
No magic.
Was that?
No magic.
Just no magic for 5 days. And what happens on day 6? Everything comes. Gods turn the power back on, and the party ends. And so the whole world just takes a vacation for 5 days. It's like you rest, you take a break, and at which point a few people get to have the ability to go. So what? It's kind of like it's like there's weird things happen during those 5 days, and people just stay home. They have a party. They have rest.
Oh yeah.
It's a relaxation. It's like since everyone bases their ideas on how their war, how they fight wars on the idea of, well, half our army uses magic. Well, let's just not fight a war for 5 days. Like every once in a while, a few barbarians get the idea of, we got 5 days to rampage around the world and at which point everyone realizes that, yeah, on day 6, the fuckery starts back up again. And then your arrogant ass gets blasted by everybody else, who finally goes, man, our shit just turned back on. And since everyone knows what day it starts and knows when it ends, there isn't like a surprise moment where everyone goes, well, I'm going to start doing all my trickery, because they all know that literally on January 1st, it all comes back on.
Yeah.
And so the whole world just kind of just takes a break. And it's it's a nice, and it explains like why the world keeps working, because the gods do their job for 5 days. And not just a simple, oh yeah, no. Does your portfolio say you need to fucking do this? So during those 5 days, the gods are literally in the background working on the back end of the framework that runs reality. And that includes the guys in hell too, in the demon realms, who they're going, hey guys, do your job too. Oh shit, you're right. So you got the gods of the afterworld who are fixing the afterworld. Hell is working on making sure that hell works. The entire universe is fixing itself for 5 days. And then it comes back online. And then the morals get to do, and then the morals get to go, oh hey, magical Wi-Fi just turned back on. And
See, I wouldn't make that personally. Well, of course, that can be pretty dark. That would not be a time of celebration. That would be a time of fear. The gods went away for 5 days. Cthulhu walks the earth.
Oh no, and that's the thing. Even for 5 days, the elder god gets to go run around the world and have be unchallenged by everything. And then day 6 happens. He better have gotten his ass off the planet and somewhere safe, distant, because guess what happens on day 6? Man, all the gods get their job, are no longer doing maintenance. They all look at you, who's standing there out in the open going, what? And now you're target number 1 for everything. gets to come in and kick your ass for it, because you're now an elder being, an outsider who has decided to come in and kick everyone's shit in during those 5 days. You better be prepared for a most righteous butt kicking. When you better be ready to you better be ready to overthrow the gods when they come back, because they're not really gone.
Oh yeah.
And they're just busy doing another job. And you know what? They might just turn the power back on ahead of time. We just do it out of tradition that it's on this day for this long. But you know what? The IT guys might just go, "Yo, guys, look out the window. Hey, look, it's Cthulhu. He's doing something stupid. Turn the power back on." Boom. And here comes Cthulhu going, "But you guys were supposed to be busy for 3 more days." And why do I hear Doomslayer music why do I hear heavy metal music starting up? And that's the kind of shit that, it's like, especially, and you gotta start wondering, be careful whose shit you're kicking in, because that guy maybe, it's like, I'm an outer being. I'm going to go down into the hells and kick shit in there. And then you get the Dark Lord of the Abyss who's like knocking on heaven's door, going, "Turn the power back on." For what? 5? Just for an hour. Turn the power back on. Burn. And here goes Cthulhu. I'm going to kick in the Pit Lord, and oh shit, everybody's looking at me again. And everyone's like going, Well, and once again, heavy metal music is starting up.
Yeah. Well, what I meant,
I know I have a lot of other holidays, but most of the time they're not translated one for ones with it's Easter. We're going to celebrate fertility and other pagan religions and merge it together. No, there's none of that shit. And every country has their own version of Independence Day, not from Britain. And it's not quite so American 4th of July, but everyone's got their own foundation days, and every once in a while you get to have that moment of going, yay! There really is, there's an ancient holiday for when they beat an empire and they have, Victory Day, but that's not celebrated unless you're in one of the 3 kingdoms that are still around from 1,000 years ago when the empire collapsed and they're still maintaining that holiday. Sure. Or there's Apocalypse Day, or there's days that have local meaning, but since there really hasn't been a monoculture, an imperialist monoculture that decided to establish itself across a significant chunk of the world in quite a while, because there just hasn't been an ability to have that, there really isn't a universal holiday schedule that everybody subscribes to, because there really isn't. The holidays that are celebrated in one part of the world aren't celebrated by everybody else, and you're not going to have, because we're all Christians in the real world, there should be an analog to all our Christian holidays. Bull fucking shit. The best you're going to get is it's the equinoxes, it's the solstice, and it's the year-end reboot. That's the universal holidays. Get used to it.
Well, I definitely tried to avoid that with the little game I played earlier. I didn't know what to call it. Like I said, Janet named it with the Festival of Hibernation. That's basically their Christmas. They celebrate that they have enough food to get through the winter by eating a whole crap ton of food and hibernating for 5 days.
Right.
And I will definitely be trying to avoid copying holidays when I go through the holiday calendar.
Yeah.
But being halflings, they need a lot of holidays. I'll bet they'll find any, just like Kai said earlier, they'll find any excuse to have a holiday.
And honestly, at that point, just go look through old medieval holidays and realize that they're probably going to give you a holiday for saints, major events, kings who were born. They're going to have an excuse for any reason to have a party, and you just do it. And realize that every town's going to have a little bit of a different culture. You might, because unless you have a very large dominating empire, you're not going to have a culture that can establish itself as this is the standard that everyone's going to follow. You're going to probably run into a town that goes, today is the day we roll cheese down a hill. What? No, it's important. Like, no. And that's just the set. I mean, you could have fun with the idea that you're going to have a lot of local holidays, local saints, local holidays, local champions, gods. I mean, some reason to do something somewhere, and most likely because of the fact that unless you have a lot of, how fast do people travel in your world?
Well,
What is the
bike,
primary mode of transport?
walking. I made them walk 2 days to a temple that. Oh right, I forgot the story of the temple. To a temple that was taboo to go to.
Okay, then you're going to look at the idea that you're going to have a whole lot of individual cultures that are very insular and very different from each other because you're only your primary mode that everyone travels around is moving at a speed of about 10 to 20 miles a day. Most people in that environment are not going to travel more than 20 to 30 miles from their house because everything's going to be based around the idea of how far can you get on a road in one day. So I'm going to use D&D. D&D math here is the basis for all of this. Is that D&D is 10 miles, 20 miles if you can walk on a road, and that's a good hard march for a day. So if you don't have good roads, like just dirt paths, most people aren't going to travel 5 miles because you're going to. How far can you get by noon? Do something, then come home. 5 miles, 10 miles, they can go by road, which is why if you travel anywhere that's old, like before cars were invented, you're going to see everything on the planet is about 10 miles. Everywhere it's old is 10 miles from something else. It's the Midwest. Hell, it's pretty much anywhere you go, 10 miles to get to the next town. And it's because that's where your trading hub is. And you'll start noticing that when you look at maps that you're going to see small towns 10 miles from a big town. And then it's on a good road that leads to a bigger town and it radiates out.
Yeah. Well,
and so you'll know that every 20, 30 miles there's a big town. That's your big trade. Hey, I'm going into the city, the big town, because that's where you can get the rare items that you can't get in your rural village. So you go rural area feeds into a small town, it feeds into a big town, and then from there you have that would be where your big trading caravans from your merchant guilds are at. That'll trade it to other big towns or to the regional capitals, and it continues to build out from here. That's the general way that things build out. And you look at maps, that's generally how it works.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing here is that nobody wants to travel far from their house. So you're going to look at, so your culture is going to be what you can get to in a week. Once you travel about a week out, you're now leaving anyone you know, and you're not going to want to travel out this. So once a week by horse or by foot will be the decider of that's going to be an insular culture. Yeah. It's still all English, or New Englandish, but you're now looking at the idea of, now this is a Bostonian, that's somebody from New England, or to use Illinois, because I know Illinois really well. Okay, these are the guys from Peoria, and that's Bloomington. We don't talk to each other very often, and there is, but because we have traffic now, if we had developed more in a time before highways and interstates, there might be a distinct difference in cultures and attitudes. And for a while there, Peoria still has this, but there's a distinct. You can tell somebody who's from Peoria. You can tell somebody who's from the Quad Cities. You can tell somebody who's from Bloomington. Not so much anymore, but there was a time where you could tell this stuff. Or a Chicagoan will have a certain attitude, accent, style of speech, and how they act. But the faster that travel happens, the more you get a merging and a monoculture. But it's still roughly this idea of how far can you get in a week by the primary mode of travel.
Yeah.
And that will be your general idea of your cultural mixing pot. Nobody really wants to travel more than 2 or 3 days north, so you're not really going to see too many people wanting to, you're not gonna, the merging the faster you move, the smaller the world becomes. It's still huge, but aircraft, internet, travel, flight, the world is now insanely small. It's merging, but if you don't have instant real-time communication, instant real-time transport, the ability to get anywhere in the planet, anywhere in the continent in the day, you're going to have a lot of local ideas, so you're going to have local gods, local customs, local attitudes, local trading standards. To use your mushroom idea, which that's awesome, but that also proves that the halflings don't travel very much. They have no need to, because they have everything they need in one spot. And they had no internal pressures to expand and no external pressures to move, migrate, or expand. Everything they need is obviously in this one spot, and obviously that must be a very rich and beautiful area of abundance, and everyone gets along enough that you don't have any scarcity. But I would kind of question how inbred the population is. Especially, because you don't have a lot of influx of new blood coming in, so it's probably a small population. I would not plus you just had them getting the shell shock of suddenly now being next to people who do use real currency, who don't accept mushrooms. I had a case of a player who ran a world that he thought he was being cute, he thought he was smart, and me and my fellow teacher buddy, who I were like, oh, good, we get to play for once. So we sat down, and he thought he was going to be super duper smart. He thought he could be up with the guys who have history and sociology degrees and other knowledges. And he decided to give us a world that everyone uses the copper piece instead of the gold piece as the standard for all trade. And that gold is worthless. Gold is the new copper piece, and copper is the new gold piece. He inverted the coins to be, this is my world. It's special and different. And we're like, is this world linked to the main campaign? Because we were still playing all our normal characters, but he wanted to run his custom world for his 1 or 2 shots. And we're like, oh, yeah, sure, go ahead. And he's like, yeah, it's linked. And we're like, so our pile of copper is now worth gold. Yes. And if we buy things, they'll give us change in gold. Yeah, because gold's worthless. At which point we look at each other and go, somebody prep the banishment spell. What? We're going to go home after we rob this planet blind. So we bought crap loads of high valuable items that we know are valuable in our own main world with copper pieces. But we went, here's gold. Here's gold. Can you break it up into? Here's a pile of gold. Can you break it up into copper? Here's copper pieces. Can you break the value up into gold pieces, please, for change, please? So we're dumping, we're flooding the economy with our worthless metal and getting high value items back, so we can go crash another economy when we go back home. And this player thought he was so brilliant until we sat him down and explained the economics model, probably his economic model. And he's like, yeah, oh, did I just Oh yeah, yeah. We went in with like $3,000 and walked out with like 3 million. Yeah, we're actually gonna like get this planet on speed dial, so that and this dimensional realm on speed dial, so that way, we're gonna sell plane shift tickets to this planet, and we're just gonna crash your economy eternally. Like we're just gonna go to the realm of Planescape, the
Sizzle.
realm there, and just sell your phone book I sell your address off, so that way people can just get rich and then just crash your economy. And he's like, "Why do you hate me?" I go, "I have reasons. I have a lot of reasons why I hate you, but I'm going to trash your I trash your setting just completely and totally." He goes, "Please don't crash your setting." No, we're crashing it. Don't worry. You can ignore this when you run your when you restart your world. Just know that do not change fundamental basics of the economy without understanding what money conversion rates are, just because you think you're being smart or creative. And don't let people walk in and stomp all over you. Like, I'm like, this was a lesson for what? To teach you to say no, or maybe you're not so smart. And it was a fun. Now, were we being mean? Yes. Was it fair? No. Was it a lesson that had to be taught? Oh God, yes, it had to be taught. But he learned. That's all that mattered. And he realized that just doing something different just for the sake of doing it different isn't enough. You actually have to have a reason why it's different. I mean, it's why going into like Dark Sun is iron pieces, or there's other,
I thought it was ceramic.
I don't know. It's been a while since I even touched Dark Sun. You gotta realize it's been like since second edition that I touched Dark Sun.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's the idea that you have a world where the coins are different for a reason, and the economy doesn't work in Dark Sun, but that Dark Sun doesn't work at all. It's a malfunctioning, deadly world that hates you. But it had an example. But I also reason why that when I run Legend of the Five Rings, I have to hammer in the idea that the economy is not based on the D&D gold system. There is the Koku, there's the Zenny, and coin values change from year to year. How do I buy things? You don't. What? You're part of the samurai class. But I get an allowance. Yes. But you don't buy anything. Why don't I buy anything? Because you're part of the noble warrior class. You go to your boss and you requisition something. You go to the local peasantry and say, "I am requisitioning this in the name of of the Lord." Send him the bill. And that's how shit works.
Yeah, that allowance money was for geisha and that kind of stuff.
Well, no, allowance money is to buy things that you need to say hire soldiers, pay for equipment, pay for your housing, pay for your clothes. That's about where it stops. If you try to do anything more than that, you're starting to go into being a merchant class, and that's lower class. You are not lower class. You are not part of the lower caste. Why act like one? The merchants have their job. They should be doing it. And your job, so they support you so you can do your job. Don't be a merchant samurai. That's just wrong. Now, mind you, that's not a universal rule, and there are samurai who are merchants, and they are scum and honorless dogs and useless, but you understand that they have a place. Everyone's got a place. Everyone has a job. You just got to make sure everyone does it. But see, that economy works because it fits that setting. Now, I had to do a lot of work to bang that economy to work into a global economic system. When I moved that setting into a global scale empire, suddenly the ability to base your entire economic model on how much rice was harvested didn't work when you were trading with foreign powers. And so that's when I had to transition the economy. Now, is their economy still a rice-based economy? Yes, it's backed by gold and backed by food. So therefore, you can always guarantee that the value of their coin is going to have a value.
Yeah.
Unlike, say, faith in the administration, that's not a viable system. But you don't like. Now, I've put thought into what backs the dollar for every nation, and so and you come to, oh well, yeah, this is what backs it. This is what that there is something that provides value, and there are exchange rates if you want to move. If you don't want to use nation coin, house coin, so everyone looks at standard gold pieces, silver pieces, and all that as a universal tender, and there's an exchange rate from fiat money to coin. And thus, so there is trading back and forth going on if you're smart and willing to risk it. But then again, something terrible happens and suddenly the value of X dollar bill goes away and the coin becomes way more valuable. Now, most of the time, I don't bother with this because if you do all of your trading in, it doesn't matter if you're being paid in Confederacy dollars or whatever coin of the realm that whatever nation you're dealing with translates to an equivalency in gold pieces, because that's the universal standard. And yeah, for my players who love fluff, I am happy to give you the price of an item in Republic bucks. I'm happy to give you that value. But for ease of putting it on your character sheet, it's worth 100 gold pieces. Oh, okay. And you subtract 100 gold pieces off your character sheet, and congrats. It's a lot of complex ways to say it's 100 gold pieces. Because in the end, I can give you a value in euros, RMB, but it's really $5. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, the main reason I used mushrooms was like I said before, this is kind of a joke game. I'm not very good at joke, but
don't worry, I'm a horrible person. I don't tell jokes.
That's fair. So yeah. Besides, I also was admittedly, this is not just a Tolkien thing where the hobbits love mushrooms. It's also a little bit of an orc thing where orcs use teeth.
Right.
When I first thought of mushrooms, my mind instantly went to orc teeth.
Yeah, teeth for a good reason. Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I don't know. I was looking at some of the prices. 200 mushrooms a day. That's like 1,400 a week. My prices might be more accurate than I thought they were, because most thing is like tens of mushrooms.
Right. Plus however much they eat per day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it specifically says that most mushrooms last less than a week. That is how often that the Wildfoot clan brings in mushrooms.
So there's no real banking mushrooms.
Nope.
Okay.
Well,
I considered that, but given the game's a joke, I don't know if. I mean, in the end, the players are meant to be able to carry just about anything they want, so there's no serious reason for a bank. I mean, there's only a serious reason for a bank. And I don't want to get too serious. It is not my forte, but not my strongest suit, I should say. But I'm trying.
Sounds like you're doing good. Sounds like you're having fun, and that's the main reason why we get together and play and do these stupid
Oh, yeah.
games.
Right.
Oh yeah.
In brutal honesty, I know the way I think about things is an unfun, very complex way of doing it. But hey, if this is a small, fun little place, it makes sense, and it's okay.
Yeah. And for this game, Kai's breakdown is, I won't say unwanted, just not really necessary. Yeah. But for my other game, Kai's breakdown is wonderful because I'm trying to do, I won't say one for one with reality, but I want it to make sense.
Good luck with that. I really hope that's what
well,
you get.
excellent example. Kai sent me a book of 1800s to 1700s, or 1700s to 1800s ships, I think.
Yes.
He picked out the exact era perfectly for what I'm thinking of my game. I've read a little bit. I need to get deeper into it. But some of my ships are actually spot on to size and weight class of what they could carry, and others are, at least one of them was way off. So it's really interesting that I even managed to get one that damn close. I mean, it's like, I think it's within like 100, 200 pounds.
Hey, that's a good job.
Sounds like a great job.
Well, not to toot my own horn, but I've always been good with numbers, and most of the numbers I pulled out for both these games, I just kind of pulled out of thin air. It's just what sounded appropriate for that moment. And sometimes I go back and change it, but most of the time it feels like it works. I mean, like today was an excellent example. Everything worked exactly like it was supposed to. Like I said earlier, when it came to the characters, Nerdy and Janet, thanks to the points they got, balanced them exactly like I would want to see them balanced. You got a couple of 50-50 rolls. You're not supposed to be great right at the beginning. That's why you're supposed to be able to level up quickly. Not as quickly as today, but still.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but certain little breakdowns too on this in the same hand, it doesn't hurt for this game either. I mean, the economy, Kai's kind of got a point about outsiders. Is it a good idea to say these guys are being now kind of lodged in between? Because what I was thinking about doing is saying they're lodged in between two human villages. They're about a day without a road travel from a road, and that road is perfectly in between two villages. What I was thinking.
Kind of hits the time frame just right. We've been almost going for 2 hours straight, and
Yeah.
kind of thanks to Cracking Gamer and to Kai for coming in tonight on kind of an impromptu stream. I was expecting to stream more today, but things just happened.
Yeah.
Would like to say thank you for those of you that showed up and attended. For those of you that really like what we do here, go ahead, like, share, subscribe, etc. Do all the things, but recognize that we're not a conventional channel, and we sometimes do stuff of our own violation, our own agenda. We will listen to you, what you think about here. We might even read it off because I do enjoy the back and forth. But I typically have some things in my mind already. No offense to anybody else, but how I want to see this channel proceed, and it's been around for about 13 years. I really do enjoy this. Crafting, aside from this new system that you're playing with, what else do you got going on right now?
Not much. I actually need to see about getting somewhere. Well, I got to see what this computer currently can do for recording, and then probably have to download some software if it'll accept it, since it's basically a glorified tablet.
Rumble and Restream both have free versions.
I'll have to check that out.
Do recommend. Very much recommend. Kai, you got anything you're going to be working on this week?
Absolutely no idea. I just kind of randomly write things down.
Fair enough.
I know. I try to keep up with Kai, but thanks to my reading disorder, it's very hard to keep up with Kai.
You've
And I
got
write a lot. It was dense the last 2 weeks.
Yes, it was. Most of it about how flying can be bad. I got that much for sure.
Oh no, I definitely hate flying things. I love flying things, but I hate flying things.
Yeah. Well, the thing with flying things is what Syndrome said in The Incredibles. When everyone's super, no one is.
Yeah,
So if it's just one-sided, it fucking sucks.
It does.
I know, which is why I put so much thought into the idea of how do I remove flight from the board.
Yeah.
GMs don't like that when you remove their monsters from the board. Yeah. Also, most people don't put the thought equal to, let's see here. Let me see if I can get my camera to turn back on for a second. I want to see if I find this, get my camera to actually work. It'll actually work. Yes. Allow? No. Allow? Oh, hey, there it is. Okay. Most people don't put this level of detail. Oh, shit, it's backwards. You can't tell.
Hold on. Let me.
Here am I? There we go. Okay, so naval and aircraft guns and gunnery, which details pretty much the entire evolution of anti-aircraft firepower from approximately the advent of aircraft up through 1954, with some hints of when the Navy stopped developing the rapid fire 5-inch gun and decided to downgrade it to what's currently on all U.S. Navy warships.
I don't understand why we did that.
The rate of fire that the Bureau of Ordnance managed to hit was so fast that it was actually shaking the gun mount apart and causing it to jam. So you'd get about 15 to 30 good shots off the mechanism, and then it inevitably jams. And so theoretically, you could get a rate of fire upwards to 1 a second off a 5-inch gun, but that was too fast. That was just too fast. And the Navy went, let's downgrade that back down to what's currently on the Navy, because that won't kill them out. So if we wanted to just, and so that's why everyone kind of likes the Italian 76 millimeter gun, because that bitch can just fire until the gun breaks. You can just give it, a 100 round magazine. Yeah, it just fires and just shoots at a ridiculous rate of fire. But we also found the best 5-inch gun in the entire universe, which is on everything right now. But the thing is that this also covered doctrines for everybody. And when you start to look at that level of doctrine and start evolving it into how do I remove flying creatures, and start looking at it through the same point of view of, so if I was the Bureau of Ordnance, what would I do? And you start with a simple basic weapon, and then you evolve the concept upwards and outwards until the point where you reach, all right, I can now build a device that weighs X amount of weight, has X amount of size. I need a gun crew pit that's about X big, so I need to be able to put 5 people into the area, 1 gunner, 1 person who's spotting, 6 people. 1 gunner, 1 person who's spotting and directing, and 2 people per gun barrel to load and prep the ballista bolt launcher, the heavy ballistas. And at that point, you've recreated the American twin 5-inch 36 naval gun mount. And at that point, you're now having one fighter who's able to make 2 attacks every round on a flying creature with a heavy ballista bolt at ranges that the dragon or the griffin cannot actually get to you fast enough if you can spot them soon enough. And at that point, it becomes a game of stealth or speed. But since nothing flying has speed, but not that much speed. And then you just choose the right ammunition, the right rounds, the right training. And at that point, you start going, well, we need a training vessel. Hey, look, you start getting the concepts that the Navy had of, well, we have a dedicated ship which is there to train crews on standardization. And since if I'm going to build a ship big enough, and I'm going to build a fleet of these things, so I go to sea because I want to go to sea and travel somewhere without having the GM fucking me every 2.5 inches. I'm going to arm this bitch, and I'm going to standardize it. And since I'm playing Kingmaker more often than I'm not going to skimp on my fleet, on my Navy. And since I am actually playing a game where I can actually do this, because, most GMs, no, Blaine, you cannot be thinking about anti-aircraft doctrine and equipment loadouts like you were, Admiral Ching Li literally thinking, can I fit more guns on this bitch? Yes, I can. And because, well, this is a fantasy game. But I don't have to wait for a pair of guys, a pair of bicycle repairmen to build me an airplane to fly. And I don't need to wait for Billy Mitchell to fuck something up. Fuck him. And I don't need to worry about, I don't have to wait because I only have to wait long enough for a dragon to show up, or Griffin Riders to show up, or some goblins on the back of a giant bat to show up, or some Pegasus Knights, or Dragonlance Riders. Fill in the blank. This is fantasy. Everybody fucking flies. The wizard is flying. Everybody fucking flies. There's a wizard on a broomstick who's flying over there. See that guy? Yeah. I don't want to see him anymore. Remove him. And everyone starts shooting.
Yeah.
And I want explosions. I want I want enough shit heading in that direction that I don't see that problem any longer. And I want him removed. And I want a gun crew officer whose job is only there to go load the long-range ammunition, load the short-range ammunition, load the medium-range ammunition. And I want to be able to go, oh, shoot, it's a wizard. He's got that wind wall spell. So that way I got protection versus magical arrows. And at that point goes, well, start putting the caps on all the ammo. Weep. Thump. Thump. And then it's like, I don't need to dodge. Like, I'm a wizard. I've got wind wall. I don't need to dodge you're unmagical. At which point I just use the Italian naval idea or the British naval idea or hell, anyone's naval idea of the cap. At which point, oh, hey, look, my ballistic bolts are now passing through that wind wall. Because these are not unknown magical spells, damn it. This is shit people have known for hundreds of years. Magic is not an unknown asset. Wizards are not unknown assets. Clerics are not unknown. No one's shocked when somebody goes, I've got some magical powers. Oh, fuck, it's a wizard? No. Wizards are so fucking damn common that we fucking know it. There should be counters. Oh, shoot, it's a high-powered magical bitch. Quick, break out the special ammunition locker. And they go down there and break out the special ammunition because what's special ammunition? Oh yeah, it's a ballista bolt. It's got an anti-magic zone on the tip. Before we load it, we just pull and activate the anti-magic zone grenade. It's mounted in the bolt head. Wait, what? Yeah, we're gonna fire a 10-foot sphere of anti-magic right at that guy. Well, your the anti-magic zone negates all the magic that you guys are all wearing. I'm firing the zone using mechanical energy. I don't care. Thump. And meanwhile, the wizard, ha 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 ha. Oh shoot, my ability to levitate, fly, and all my magical shields just turned off because the bolt traveled near me. Sploosh. And hey, we downed one wizard. And the wizard's now in the water. He's probably shocked and confused. He just took fall damage. And now we just aim all this shit at and he pops his head back up out of the water. We shoot him more because now he's in the water prone, partial cover, whatever, and we just blast the fucker because now he's got none of his fucking spells up. Just turn him into red paste. I don't like I know, mind you, I do like magic, but I love removing it at the same time.
Well, it's Bruce. I put into because Bruce let me make devices. One of the devices I want to use is basically the gas-powered crossbow from Van Helsing. Bruce didn't directly tell me no, but he made it clear, not yet.
But and now, mind you, my anti-magic grenade concept was simply just somebody figured out that the cost of an anti-magic field, a 1 use per day anti-magic field spell, was actually pretty cheap. Well, relatively cheap, and for a nation, cheap.
Yes.
Like every ship should have a locker full. And the thing is that the original idea was a one use per day grenade, and you hand these out for 1,000 gold pieces to just, like, hey, we're anti-magic shock troops. We've encountered a demon or a wizard or something like that. You just kind of like, everyone pulls out their AM field grenades, pulls the pin, rolls it into the room, and when all your heroes are shocked that all of their magic abilities stop working, and then you're a bunch of dudes in football gear and assault armors charge in and beat them senseless with sticks because they're trained to fight without magic, and people are like, that's just disgusting. And then when you figure out that the price of making that same grenade as a 1 use only item, as in it's an expendable ordinance, it's even cheaper, and now you have a whole supply of the bitches that are just sitting there. So your big funky angry dragon who's like, I'm a big fucking angry dragon. Someone gets hit by 3 or 4 bolts of anti-magic, and he's now flying with them embedded in his body, and now he's like, I can't use my magic. Sure, I still have dragon breath, I still have this, but I don't have any of my spells anymore. Fuck. And you do this to wizards. Because it's a field. You just aim like, oh no, he's standing on the deck of his ship. Aim near him. I can't hit him, but I can hit the ship you're standing on. Thump, 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 thump. And suddenly people are going, that's disgusting. That you're like if you depend on magic, expect us to use anti-magic against you in mass, in volume, and industrial amounts. Wait, so there's guys who go to work every day and manufacture these things? Yes. Because this is how nations fight.
Yeah.
And they're going to deploy countermeasures against you. Because I'm looking at the idea of these are worlds that have dealt with magic for centuries, if not longer. They're going to have tactics and strategies based around the idea of countering it. So because everyone wants to play in the most generic, it's Europe, but nobody knows magic except for you. You're the special one who has all the magic, except for all the special bad guys who also have magic. But nobody's got magic except for everybody who's got magic. Because remember, approximately 2/3 of all the classes in the game are all magic. But nobody's magic.
Nope.
Except for everybody who's also got racial abilities that are magic. No one's got a counter. That's the whole reason why I thought about the idea of I'm going to design rapid fire anti-air defenses. I'm going to design the idea of caravans moving in mobile fortresses because of the fact that D&D is a deadly, dangerous, horrible place if it was actually as bad as we GMs run it. And that's one of those really key comments, because we've all done it. We all use the random encounter tables, right? Of course we do.
Yeah.
And we always have a 25% chance every night of encountering a bad thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes 25% per shift per watch. And we have 3 watches. So we're looking at. So Farmer Bob goes out into the woods. He's got a 25% chance of being raped by orcs or wolves or whatever. He has traveled 5 miles outside town. He is camped for the night. And now he's got a 1 in 4 chance of being murdered by orcs, by a band of orcs, or kobolds, or goblins, or demons, or fucking whatevers. Everybody knows that once you travel beyond the safe zone, you're dead. You have a 1 in 4 chance you're dead. And because after all, we as GMs, all of us commentators and talking heads on YouTube are all players are not special. Players are not the important ones. So obviously we are engaging in the Copernican principle that players are not special. What happens to players happens to everyone else, especially in those early adventures. So if we can't walk outside without being mugged every 3 days, mugged, then everybody else is getting mugged at the same rate. If we can't get on a boat to travel across a fucking channel without the Flying Dutchman arriving, or a sea monster, or 25 mer people showing up, then every ship is going out and being attacked by everything. Whatever's happening to your players is supposed to be a representation of what's happening to everyone else. Now, once a story starts, once a plot line happens, then that changes things. But during those initial pace-setting things, where if you just have a random encounters are not plot lines. They are just random things to waste time and cause random injuries. And if your players are like, whatever, they just kind of go, it's indicative, whatever, this is just how D&D works.
Yeah.
But then you have people who are like, no, like me, who go, no, because I want to have my people living in this world. So I'm going to, no, we all go out in the buddy system. Everyone goes out in armored cars. There's armored trains. There's mobile fortresses that set up every night. People go out with anti-aircraft guns. Like, wait, does everyone go out there with carrying arbalests and giant emplacements? Yeah, everyone goes out like that. We all go out with the idea that because we're going to go out and fight bandits. Every 2 miles is literally another bandit attack or another orc horde. You're going to have to murder and fight your way to anywhere. If you want trade, it's going to be through brutal fighting. So everything should be overly militarized, and horrifically. It should look like Rifts. It should look like the wonderful world of the United States in Rifts, where it's giant robots, it's people in power armor, just to go out to go like, I'm going to go pick flowers, go put on my Samus suit, so I can go pick flowers. I need to be a glitter boy so I can go out there and do my yard work. Because if I don't go out in full anti-god power armor, I'm going to get murdered. Because I wanted to have a picnic. You and the missus go out there in your armored car, set up your assault drones and your automated robots so you can have a picnic on a hill. But it's just like Israel. Everyone's got a fucking an MDC assault rifle sitting right next to them. You're having a nice, comfy, quiet lunch on a hilltop, but you've got your reflex missile launcher on standby because some DB monster is going to come walking over that hill and start shooting at you. And so you need to be able to turn on enough firepower to erase a town so you can continue to have a nice lunch. And that is what a D&D world that has random encounters every single night, every 3 hours of sleep has a random encounter in this. That is the world that you are going to create. Like, your adventuring party should be representative of what the average person at that point is going through. Farmer Bob is sitting here running, plowing his field, but strapped across his back is, a quad fireball launcher and a hypervelocity dart gun. Why? Because he can't trust that the field. And it's like, well, this would be a great place for a farm. Put the farmhouse top of a hill. I need to have at least 500 yards of clear vision lines. And you're out there, chopping like, I'm going to build this farm, but you've implanted claymore mines everywhere, and you're just like, well, seems like it's another direwolf invasion. Click, click. You get out your repeating heavy crossbow, and get into the call to the missus to get to lay down fire support with the house ballista bolt launcher, because that's how you have to survive a D&D world. But we don't run it that way, because we want to have a nice idyllic Lord of the Rings happy fantasy world where no one gets where the only people anything happens to is, well, the players. The players are the only ones anything ever bad happens to, which is bullshit, because we also in the same breath on a stream will say, I don't treat players any different than anybody else. I hope to God, like, do you guys have high casualty rates? Well, of course I do. Death is then don't run an adventure that has the players being the chosen one, because, well, your lethality rate is approaching that of the Battle of the Somme. I'm walking out there and like, we're gonna go out there and have a nice adventure. Orc snipers take your head off. Well, Aragorn just died from what? Hypervelocity arrow round from from level 10 orc war boss. Well, shit, he was the chosen one. I know, but don't worry, we'll get a new Aragorn over at the next bar. Boop. And I'm now the new chosen one.
Don't worry. Ignore the smell.
Yeah, you just put the crown, pick the sword up, and go. I'm now the new king of Gondor, and continue your adventures off there, because you're the 14th guy in the line who's managed to, I'm the lucky one. I managed to survive 4 whole battles.
No.
Our current casualty rate's approximately 240%. But don't worry, every town we go to seems to always have brand new people to fill those casualty slots. How the fuck are you guys still adventuring? I don't know. I wasn't here when the original campaign orders came out. Like, I don't even know what our actual mission is. What? We're all going to say that, like, well, according to the notes from a dead guy, he's been dead for about 4 months before I even joined. We're supposed to stop the Dark Lord. Really? Yeah, I think so. I mean, now that you're part of the party, here's your copy. Here's your copy of the orders. Nobody has a clue what we're actually doing anymore, because the casualty rate's been killing off everybody except for that one guy over there. He's lucky. He's managed to survive all of it, all of this time. Right? He's not really part of the original group, but he remembered the third generation of people who are part of the party. He's just sitting going, oh man, I'm not even gonna bother to learn your fucking name. You're gonna be dead in like 3 fights. I don't fucking care about you, motherfucker. I got 3 more fights and I go home. Fuck you. And because that's how lethal some of us want to. I say we run our games and want our games to be, but yet somehow say the game's about the players. No, it's not. If we're running the lethality level that we say we run it at, this is literally it's literally like. Sorry, you've been drafted. Congratulations, you're now part of the adventuring group. You do it and do it till you die. Yay! Yeah. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I do want to wrap this up. I apologize. I'm just back in one day. We're going to continue from a light position from here 2 weeks from now. Me and Kai, possibly Crafting Gamer, some others being here to discuss that. It's very important that you guys take notes. I do think that if you want a place to go and you want to learn more about these unusual things that are being discussed, well, there's a little sub channel on my Discord called Chimerian's Musings. And I would recommend you take a look at it and see if it's something that you want to do. And if that's the case, then go ahead and let me see if it'll actually paste. It says hidden, use copy button. Okay. Well, anyway, we've got a Discord, and I recommend that if you like what we discuss here, come on over. We are a different Discord than a lot of others. We focus on our hobby first, and it might not be something that everybody wants to get involved with. That's okay, but it's definitely something that I want you guys to take a look at these and possibly come on in. Got a big welcoming group of people, very happy to show new people around in the ropes, and you guys just have a chance to be part of this. Go ahead. Crafting Gamer,
Yes.
you want to walk us out for the night, sir?
Live happy, live healthy. Don't screw over your friends. And if you're going to rant like Kai, so it's actually useful.
I would doubly appreciate that. Thank you so much, everybody, one and all. We'll see you here in 2 weeks, and Happy New Year.